Welcome
to the joy of code.
Hello, and welcome to episode 169 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley, gonna be hacking on some Firefox stuff today. It's so great to see you, so glad you're here. Hopefully I have addressed the video syncing issues that were plaguing us last week. I've switched away, if you were watching last week's episode, I've switched away from running OBS on the machine that I hack on. Instead, I've got this lovely iMac over here that was just kind of sitting in storage, and it's now running OBS for me, and I've got this very elaborate setup using an HDMI capture device, and long story short, some latency was introduced, and so last week, the screen activity and the webcam and voice sync was way out, apparently. So hopefully this week it's a little bit better. I've tried to add a little bit more delay to the video and the audio. So hopefully they still match up. Hopefully, at the very least, I hope that the audio from my face is matching my face. The actual on-screen stuff, we'll see. So let's get to it. Let's see if we can try it out. Enough yakking. Let me start by pumping up the font. Okay, actually, this is an excellent test for the people who are maybe hanging around in the IRC channel and can talk to me. Oh, I'm slightly out of frame there. You can let me know if the video is out of sync. I'm about to highlight this word reminder on 3, 2, 1, highlight. So I've just highlighted it. Hopefully that's visible. It's actually, the color's kind of washed out, but like I'm moving the mouse around in a circle now, and I'm stopped. Like, that's hopefully going to be synced up. I'll watch the video later and let me know what you think. Anyways, a reminder, no plan survives breakfast. All of this could be going wrong. The video might be completely out of sync. My voice might be out of sync with my face, might be out of sync with my screen, and that's all right. I'm just flying off the cuff here. None of this is super planned. Okra says it seems to be synced. Amazing! At least one person in Twitch says that we're synced up, so that's good. And I see some messages in live hacking. Your face sounds match your face. So that's a thumbs up from Brenny. It highlighted after about a second after I heard the click. So there's still a little bit of delay in the screen, which is too bad, but hopefully not too irritating. Over time, hopefully I'll adjust the latency values I'm putting in. I'd rather not do that live right now. That's probably pretty boring. So let's just get into it. Like I said, no plan survives breakfast. I don't have really a great sense of what I want to do today. I just kind of have a couple things I'm hoping to hit. We'll see how far we get. And before we go into it, I want to mention that this agenda that we're looking at with all these handy dandy links is something that you have access to. If you were watching this on Air Mozilla, it's in the additional links section, or the handout section, I think, over here. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the video description down below. And if you're watching this on Twitch, then I'm about to drop the video, or the link into the Twitch chat. There's the agenda. Ha! Okris is like, maybe review the compiler warnings. Ha ha ha. Many a new Mozilla dev has broken themselves on the wheel of attempting to silence all of our warnings. That's not really something I think would be very interesting for this video. It's not probably a good use of our time and development time on Firefox. That, while maybe interesting to some, I actually think that we should probably be digging into some other stuff. So thank you for the suggestion, but I won't be looking at compiler warnings. Part of the problem with compiler warnings as well is that sometimes the compiler warnings are coming from third-party code that we have no control over, or that we vendor in and that we don't have much control over. But the good news is that we have static analysis and linting tools that we're slowly enabling across the tree that will hopefully allow us to hammer down on a bunch of these warnings. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I want to quick shout out to the episode guide. As usual, Smurf D has been keeping us up to date. I believe we've got up to the last episode, 168, right here in the episode guide. If you want to check out what we talked about last week, it's all in here. So thank you to SmurfD. And if you're interested in contributing, here's a contributing guide. You can send pull requests to the repository if you have your own addenda, if you have your own notes, if you have stuff that you want to add, corrections. Maybe I said something incorrectly. Maybe you're a Mozilla developer who has very strong opinions about warnings while building. Maybe what I said doesn't reflect reality. Send me a pull request and we'll add some commentary to the episode guide. All right, what are we doing today? Today, quick self-check. Is everything working? Hopefully you can hear sounds. I don't even know if the sounds are in sync. Last week we didn't have sounds, but I just played a drum sound. I'm going to play it again. 3, 2, 1, drum hit. So yeah, hopefully that syncs up reasonably okay. What else? And I am recording, so I'll be able to watch the video and get the get a sense of how things were synced up later. But for now, I'm flying by the seat of my pants as per usual. So I want to give a quick update on something we worked on last week. This bug here where we moved the page style child, we made it lazier. We made it so that it doesn't load in the about home page. It doesn't load. And it also uses the idle callback on a page to scan for and send up alternative spreadsheet style sheets to the parent process. That has landed. So if you look at this patch here, this bug, the patch landed, I believe, on 4 days ago. It landed in Central. So it's currently in Nightly, and we actually got a nice little memory win out of it as well. We dropped by 13K, 13,000 bytes or so. We dropped the amount of JS that we load because this particular test, base content JS, doesn't load any pages, and so that meant it doesn't load anything except about blank, and about blank is one of the pages that the page style child now skips. So huzzah, a nice little memory win there. Commentary and live hacking sound effects seem to be good. Booyah! That's great news. Thank you very much, Brenny. Okay, another update. The patch that we were working on last week as well, the picture-in-picture patch, it actually got review. Where was it? User initiated picture-in-picture milestone 2. Nope, user milestone 2. This one. Also, if you notice that my URL bar is a little extra flashy today, it's because I'm testing the new quantum bar. It's the new HTML-based quantum bar, and this one doesn't cause synchronous layout flushes, which is really nice, but it's still being polished, and that's why it's a little flashy still. Like, I think they need to work on their event buffering. But there is a patch that we posted last week to make it so that I actually think I moved it out of this meta bug. I think it's in milestone 3 now, where we were making it so that if the if a video has ended and we decide to move it into picture-in-picture, we didn't get the last frame. So I'll give you an example. HTML video, and you can actually. So hang on, let me make this bigger. Let's look at just this frame. Oh, that's not much bigger. Let's look at Big Buck Bunny. There's a video. HTML5 video, there's like an instance of Big Buck Bunny. We're gonna use W3 Schools. Bring it back. Okay, so if we wait for this video to end, I'm just gonna silence it there. We wait for it to end, and then I open it in picture-in-picture. See, the window is here, but it's blank. It's showing nothing. Whereas if I were to have rewound it a little bit, if it was in the middle, then we get the frame properly displayed. But if it's at the end, we weren't getting the frame. That was the bug. And we have a patch that we worked on last week that makes it work. And that patch was accepted by Jean-Yves, who's been my reviewer, my heroic reviewer in all this. But he asked me a question on whether or not we can use a different mechanism, the render video frames mechanism, instead of basically hand rolling and getting access to the image container and getting access to the last image inside the image container of the original video. And I said, well, I'm not sure, because like the render video frames accesses the video queue, which I believe is the queue of decoded video frames from the decoder. And whenever the video has ended, I believe that queue is empty. So I'm asking him for clarity on that because I'm mostly guessing. So I'm waiting to hear back on whether or not you know, this technique is going to work. I might actually ping him later today on IRC because I've been waiting for just under a week. There's a question in the Twitch chat that asks, is there an ETA for integrating the servo engine into Firefox? Believe it or not, bits of the servo engine are already in Firefox. The stylo part of the style parsing part of servo is in Firefox and has been since Firefox 57. We are now working on getting the rendering portion of servo working inside Firefox. That's called web render. So it's not going to be like a full-blown transition over from servo to Gecko. That's not how it's going to work. Instead, we're taking the bits from servo that have matured and are stable and are provably better than what's already in Gecko. And then we are bringing those individual components over. So the first thing was the style component was done, and now it's the graphics component. And right now, the servo people are working on some really interesting things with like parallel layout and, you know, web VR stuff. So who knows? Maybe some of that stuff will be brought over. But there isn't going to be a full-blown switch Firefox to using the servo engine entirely. It's going to be piecemeal as the pieces mature inside servo. Because remember, servo is a research browser engine. Lots of parts of it are freaky and are not meant to ship. It's very researchy. So only when things mature properly and have like reached a certain level of stability would we consider bringing them over to Gecko. Okay, so what are we doing today? I gave you these updates, blocked on review here. So I have a patch to review from someone I've been mentoring on a bug to make it so that view source can actually open in a separate window. And that's actually the way it used to work. For a long time, whenever you would view source, instead of having it open in a tab like it just did, it would open in a separate window. And what has been requested here is we don't want to bring back the dedicated view source window because we tore that out for a reason. But it would be nice if instead of opening in a new tab, we could open in a new browser window that has tabs. Like just basically, instead of opening this, it's basically doing this. Move to new window. So we would open, pardon the little ping there. We would open view source in a new browser window as opposed to the dedicated view source window. So we actually have a patch to do that. I've been mentoring this great contributor, DHYEY35, and we're pretty far along. It almost landed, and then I pushed it to try, and then I noticed there were some test failures, and I'm hoping I can give him some feedback today because I've been a little slow to give him feedback because I was working on some critical stuff yesterday. So I need to get back to him. So today I'm hoping we can look at the patch. So the first thing I want to start with is let's see where he's at because he's updated the patch recently. I want to make sure that I can actually, hang on, I have to bring the font back up. I want to make sure that I can actually apply his patch and see how it works. So I'm going to, I'm actually going to apply it to where I am. I'm going to use Moz. Here, let me pump up the font so you can see what I'm talking about. What am I talking about? I'm going to say Moz fab patch and then pass in the ID and I say apply to here, no commit. So that's going to go grab his work. Getting that stuff from Fabricator. And meanwhile, we can take a look at some of the stuff he has been saying. Browser view source of document has been updated in used at 3 places. I modified only the call from browser.js. So instead of adding the arg at 3 places, I added it in the body of browser view source document. Let's see what he's talking about. Body of view source document. There's no context here. That's rough. But I can take a look now. Inside my editor, let's open up browser.js. Hello, there we go. There we go. Man, Sublime is not responding to keyboard input. I'm gonna quit Sublime for a sec. Whoa, what is going on here? I gotta Am I like sitting on one of my keys? Must select comment, change. Am I like sending just a bunch of characters? Let me open up a text editor. Must select a comment or change to reply to. What are you talking about? What is going on? Okay, something is up. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to quit Firefox. And then I'm going to reopen Sublime. And I can just hear it freaking out. What is going on? Maybe it's the new UI bug? I don't think so. Firefox is closed. Maybe. Is it behaving now? Not really. Why? Why? I just got everything working. I don't need this. All right, well, we're gonna do our best to make do without being able to search. Or type in my editor. What is going on? Okay, what can I quit safely? It's almost like, is there like, is there a button here? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna unplug my keyboard and my mouse, and I'm gonna plug them back in. So the good news is that that seems to have addressed the issue. So I got a feeling maybe my keyboard was just freaking out. There we go. Hey, we're back. We're back. There's a message in IRC. So Alcrest asks, maybe it's a new UI bug? No, I believe it was a keyboard bug. Smurf's like, there's a new version of Sublime released today. Update? I have not updated. I am excited to update. I do like Sublime updates, but the good news is the issue appears to be fixed. Because it happened to be this keyboard, I think, or the mouse, or maybe just the USB driver. Hard to say, but let us continue. Where were we? We were reviewing this patch, and the contributor said a browser view source of document was used in 3 places in the tests, and then they updated browser view source of document so that the in new window, variable is checked here as opposed to passing it into browser view source of document. We just check here whether or not we should open in a new tab or in a new window. And that makes sense to me, I think. And there's another special case here when you do it from the context menu for a selection. And then we added a test, that's fine. And what's the commentary here? One weird thing is if I only run browser view source new window file, both the test cases pass, but executing all the browser cases makes the second case of view partial source fail, as the await win promise doesn't resolve. Do I have any clues about this? So let's see if we can reproduce. Well, first of all, let's build. Man, remember when that keyboard was freaking out? I thought like, man, everything was going so well, so smoothly. And then things got really rough. But now it's better again. What a roller coaster. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Let's run. Oh. So the idea is that if I switch view source tab to false, then if I were to go to, say, this page, and then I go view source, which is Command U, hey, I get a new window with the source in it. Nice. So that works. And then if I toggle the pref back, then this should open a new tab instead. Perfect. 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 So now let's run the tests. Moki test, toolkit, components view source, I think. Tests. Oh man. Rocky Balboa keyboard. You know, maybe that was my problem. I was squeezing the cable or something. Because the back end of it was being squished by the back of the keyboard. Test browser. We're going to run these tests. And we're going to see if they fail for us. So, brace yourself. Drum roll, please. Right, and this is where things fail. This is where he says things fail. And what are we waiting on? In view source new window, what happens is we have a selection. We selected it, and then we opened view source, the win promise. Before win promise and after win promise is what I see here. Test timed out. Before win promise, and we never get to after win promise. Win promise being wait for new window. Ah, so it's possible that the URL isn't matching what we expect. So maybe we're getting a URL that's different. That would be my guess. So let's try it again. Stop. Okay. I won't play the drum roll again. That was I found that irritating. So let's avoid that. Use sparingly. Use the drum roll sparingly. Okay, so let's copy this URL and see if that's the same as what we had expected here. You know what? There's a better way of doing this. Oh, yeah, they are the same. They look the same. That's by visual inspection, but let's go to the computer and ask equals. I guess I don't need the triple equals. True, they are the same. Because if it was one character off, it'd be false. So it's the same. So maybe what I need to do is check to see what browser test utils has noticed as Windows opened. Wait for new window. Let's see here. So the windows come up, and then we've got this like URL that we wait for. And we're gonna wait for the URL. Browser loaded. We're gonna wait for a browser to load. View source from a data URL. Oh, this might be a process flipping bug. Okay, hang on. Content, test, utils. Content utils, this one. So this is the information that goes up whenever a page loads, visible URL, internal URL. And then in browser loaded, we compare against target's browser is wanted. It's not an error page, so we're comparing against the internal URL. So the internal URL is event target document URI. We're gonna make it log that. Loaded that, which might be different than what's being reported by the URL bar. I wonder if that's the problem. Okay. Loaded. Aha, so what it sees is this. And then there's this like so the original test does this like URL encoding. Let's not do the URL encoding and see what happens. Before win promise. Oh, no, sorry. I'm wrong. I'm straight up wrong because before win promise is here, before win promise, and then loaded. This is actually what I logged. And where's the, yeah, I said loaded. I didn't put a new line, and there's no new line after this log message. So that's what's going on there. So then the question is, do these two things match? Loaded that and that. They look like they match to me. Once again, we'll go to the computer, but I'm pretty sure they match. They match. So we send that message up. So we have loaded the right document. So is wanted URL want load. I'm gonna say comparing want load with URI. And I'm also, just to clear things up a little bit, I'm gonna put some new lines here and here. Huh. What happened? Why'd the test pass? So there's a race. That's what it tells me. Oh, no, wait. An exception was thrown. Line 39. In the test, line 30. Oh, of course. I got this nonsense in here. All right, let's try that again. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. Now, the other question is why this only fails. Oh man, and another. Why does this only fail when you run all of the tests at once? URL is what it's supposed to be. Come on, come on, Mike. So maybe let's test that hypothesis. We'll run browser view source new window separately and see if it passes. Because if it doesn't, well, we can shorten our feedback loop a little bit. Okay, so that passed. Let's run verify. See, that works. Oh. Oh, we got one. Okay. Loaded this. And then we never do the comparison. We never do the comparison, I'm guessing, because I'll bet you we do a remoteness flip. I'll bet you we do a remoteness flip and we don't hear about the message sometimes. Let's see, what's the best way of confirming that? Browser test utils. Browser loaded. So we can't miss the message. Well, we sure can if the process flips. Wait for new window. DOM content loaded. So there's this like. Normally we wait for this event for a remoteness flip. Dump. Attempting to load URL in remote type browser.remote type with preferred remote type browser.remote type. I guess that was superfluous. Big word, fancy. I gotta give myself a 1-up for using a fancy word. So yeah, we got a bit of a race here. I want to understand. There's the race. Attempting to load. Entering, loading. So we never even attempted to. We never even entered this block. I'm sure we're calling into wait for new window. Hang on a second. Wait for new window. Select all the children. Wait for the pop-up shown. Wait for event. So my instinct tells me that maybe part of the problem is the fact that we set up this promise so early. But I need to understand why that would be a problem. So wait for new window, saw DOM window opened. That's not true. Saw observer notification, then saw DOM window opened, and then URL is such and such, and then waiting for DOM content loaded. Oops. And then hopefully we would enter this block, but so far we haven't. So let's take a look at the map. So maybe what could be going wrong here? There's the problem. All right, so, and the mouse has stopped responding. I have a feeling something is up. with this mouse and keyboard combo. Plug them back in. There we go. Okay, so let's kill the process so we can look at this log. Before win promise. Wait for new window. Saw observer notification. Saw DOM window opened. URL is such and such. Waiting for DOM content loaded. Oh, I should have put another message after that. Dumb. Done waiting for DOM content loaded. Maybe in certain cases by that point the DOM has loaded. Is that even possible? Maybe we just have a race in how our test harness works, or test framework works. Okay. So it does wait, finish waiting for DOM content loaded, and then why doesn't it enter here? URL is still such and such. This, we just push a promise. We'll wait one. Here. Oh, no, here it is. Attempting to load in remote type web with preferred remote type web, which it can't because it's a data URL. So we're gonna wait for, the keyboard has died again. This is intolerable. What's going on, man? Well, it's been a good run with this keyboard, I think. Waiting for Zool frame loader created. Done waiting for Zool frame loader created. We're going to get to the bottom of this with some printf debugging. And good old test verify, which allows us to like sniff out these weird races, because that's what this is. We're dealing with a race. Here we go. Attempting to load remote type. So we never wait for the... Hold on. Can we do it? And then I'm also going to add a update browser remoteness. Flipping remoteness of a browser from a browser.remote type to remote type. I'm just going to build just in case. I don't think I need to, but I'm just going to do it just in case. Old printf debugging. Race, rewrite it in Rust, says Ocrus. I want you to know, Ocrus, that yes, Rust makes it really hard for us to create data races, but I think this is a different type of race. This isn't like a threading race. I have a feeling you're joking because of the colon capital D. But just so we are clear, Rust protects us from data races, but not from things like event races. So attempting to load in remote type. Can we do it? True. And we don't. Oh. Oh, so we finish. Here's what's going on. We finish loading before the before we can actually add the browser loaded message handler. Let's see here. What can we do about that? So by the time we got here, we need to handle the case where the window... So the problem is that wait for browser window or wait for new window doesn't take into account the possibility that by the time we start waiting for, I guess whenever we handle the DOM window open notification, after we await for DOM content loaded, it's possible that the document has already finished loading in the content. Right. So how does browser loaded handle this? Waits for an ongoing page load to complete. Well, the first browser loaded. What's the first browser loaded? So we know, I think I have a sense of what the problem is. It's just I need to figure out what the right solution is for our test framework here. Wait for location change. I guess if like if browser.current_URI.spec equals URL and browser dot, is there a way we can tell whether or not it's in the, it's like still loading? I think there is. Busy. Has attribute busy, but it's like web progress. Change tab progress listener on state change state stop open requests is request open. Busy. Finished load. How do you tell whether or not the browser is in a stopped state? I have to remember how to do that. Check if browser tab is stopped. Progress listener. State change. Is there like a current state? State flags. is stopped. Web progress listener.idl. What's the state I'm looking for? State stop. Let's look for an example where state flags and a state change handler. State change handler. State change handler. State change handler. How do I, instead of waiting for a state change, because it might not have changed, how do I figure out what the current state is? Flags on state change. Web progress listener. So about inside web progress .idl. Is loading document. That sounds like what I want. Is loading document. Where's that used? Is loading document. Is loading document. Web progress. This browser.webprogress is loading document. I think that's what we should use. And so browser test utils, if we go, if the browser.webprogress.isLoadingDocument, if that's not true, so basically if the current spec is not the URL, or we're still loading the document, we're gonna promises.push this thing. Let's see what happens. Akris is like, yeah, it was just a joke. Okay, just making sure. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I appreciate your joke. I appreciate your humor, Akris. I like you. I like jokes. Just sometimes I don't get them. Okay. Oh, still got our problem here. Shouldn't have taken out all my logging. So current URL, browser current URI.spec. Oh, like it's, I guess it's possible that it's possible for the, no, it's not. Current URI.spec is that, and then is loading browser web progress dot is loading document. Waiting for browser load event. Browser loaded. And then we've still got this one in here. Sending browser loaded. What are you making? Asks JAL97. I'm trying to fix a patch. Or I'm reviewing a patch from someone and they have a test failure and I'm trying to fix the test failure. So that's what's going on. JA197. Okay, we have hit our problem. Current URL is about blank. Loading is false. and it sends the message. Four-win promise. Four-win promise. Send. Browser loaded. Current URL is about blank and loading is false. Waiting for browser loaded. And what about the web progress events like remote web progress? No, there's something called like browser. What sends up these remote web progress events? Remote web progress.jsm. Content location change, for example. Who sends that? Whoops. It's from web progress child. Child sending name. Okay. Let's run it again. Come on, test failure. Give me that sweet test failure. There it is. Child sends state change, sends location change, security change, progress change. What's the location change being sent? Location changing to a location URI dot spec. Sending browser location changing to that. Great. So you'd think that the parent process would then receive that message in content location change. Create a new URI and set the browser's current URI to be that. Instead, it's about blank. What's the deal with that? Sends its location change and then sends the load event. So the parent should think that what's loaded is actually this, not about blank. Browser's current URI is now this dot browser dot current URI dot spec. This dot browser other window. extra flair here for outer window ID, browser.outer window ID, because maybe we're getting confused about which browser we're talking about. I guess that's possible. Could it be? Okay. Waiting for browser load for browser. Selected browser. How many? Oh! Oh! Okay, I know what's happening. I know what's happening. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Let me explain what's going on. Oh, SmurfD has, don't you worry about blank, let me worry about blank. Ha ha ha. If you get that browser current UI spec from an earlier point and look at the value then. So I think I know what's going on. Whenever we drag a tab out or like move a tab to a new window, we do this kind of odd operation where we open a new window with a blank tab, and then it's an about blank tab, and then we swap the frame loaders of the two browsers. So the contents of one tab end up showing in the other, and then we close the blank tab that's now in the original tab in the original window. That's how we do tab dragging. And so I have a feeling wait for new window is not accounting for the possibility that we are swapping doc shells. That's the problem. Let's see. So this has definitely been run into before. I'm certain of it. So tab browser has this function. What was it? Move to new window. Is that it? Move. Open in new window. What's the drag? Swap browsers and close other. Right, and that's inside this thing called begin remove tab. In adopt tab. Adopt tab. The original browser. So let's take a look at any tests that use adopt tab. Or like tear test files. So there should be some like drag drop. Browser tab drag drop. That's what I want. So what they do is they add a tab, replace tab with window is what we're looking for. We wait for the original tab closed. They're waiting for the original so they don't use wait for new window. Replace tab with window. Let's look for more tests. Replace tab with window. Oh. That just returns the window. Right. Wait for event. Swap doc shells. Delayed startup finished. Okay, so here's what I'm going to recommend is instead of using wait for new window, is something else. Startup finished. Here we go. We have to wait for the new one to slow, give the select browser and listen to it. If the expectation of the initial browser. So there's new window. Wait for DOM content loaded in the new window. That's not good. Well, what we can do instead is we're going to add a utility function that's like async function wait for new view source window. And what it'll do is it's going to let win equal await finished. Test utils. I think topic test utils will allow us to get at the window because here, test utils.jsm topic observed resolves with the subject and the data as an array, and the subject for browser delayed startup finished is notify. The subject is the window. Good. Okay. So I think we should do let win, because I believe subject's first, yeah. Let win equals await topic, or test utils topic observed browser delayed startup finished. And then what else were they doing? They were waiting for the window. They wait for the delayed startup to be finished. And then maybe that's enough. So when promise equals, and then maybe assert dot equal when dot gbrowser dot selected browser dot current URI dot spec is expected URL, and return the win. So maybe what we can do is go wait for new view source window like that, and then do the same thing up here. When promise equal wait for new source. Instead of that old one, we'll use this. And let's just see if this works on its own. It fails because about blank doesn't load. Wait for delayed startup finished. Then, oh, then we need to wait for end swap doc shells. Await browser test utils, wait for event win.gbrowser.selected browser and swap doc shells. I think that's how we need to do it. Probably let browser equals when browser selected browser, and then make that like that, and then like that. Waiting for swap doc shells. Done waiting for swap doc shells. Waiting for swap doc shells, right. So what does tab browser do? And close other. Happens in adopt tab. On load here in the load event. It happens in the load event, not on delayed startup. Right. So what we should do is DOM window opened. Hang on, I think we can do better. Browser test utils. DOM window opened. Yeah, wait for DOM window opened. instead of waiting for the URL, maybe we can just skip waiting. Drag, drop. Well, one thing we know is that the originating tab will have gone away. So by the time the tab close event fires, the swap doc shells should have occurred. That's one thing. The load event. Wait for a window. DOM went topic observed. DOM window opened. Dialog open. Okay, so await browser test utils. DOM window opened. And then wait for the load event. Await browser test utils, wait for event when load. No, I guess we can just wait for the end swap doc shells event on the window. And then because it'll bubble up, maybe that'll be enough. Waiting for DOM window to open. DOM window opened, waiting for end swap doc shells. Got end swap doc shells. I think that's what it's called. I'll run this headless while I look for the actual. Yeah, and it should fire on the window. DOM window open, waiting for end swap doc shells. It never gets it. Let's go back over here. Onload. Tab to adopt. Swapping doc shells. Waiting for end swap doc shells. Swap doc shells fires. Okay, swap browsers and close other. And then we do swap browser doc shells. And swap doc. Where is that code? And swap doc shells. Notify. In custom element browser. Custom element and swap doc shells. Firing and swap doc shells. Waiting for end swap doc shells, right. Well, it's not seeing it. It's fired. Oh, because it doesn't bubble? I see other places where we add it to the... Oh, on capture. On capture. Wait for event, browser test utils. So it normally captures those events in the capture phase. There's browser test utils. Wait for event. Capture, third argument. Capture. Test sort of passes, but right, the and swap doc shells with new tab at that thing. Why wouldn't it be there yet? New window. Why wouldn't it be there yet? Browser custom element and swap doc shells. So we should have swapped the browser. We've swapped the frame loaders, swapped everything. Swap doc shells. Do we just have to wait a tick? I'd rather not, but new promise resolve. I'm just gonna test that theory. Services dot thread manager dispatch. To main thread resolve. Waited a tick. Wait a tick. Wait a tick. Explain where my thoughts are at. So I feel like the swap doc shells, like, oh, wait a second. The fail happens for the first test, not for the second test. Let us focus solely upon the first test. That's one thing. So let's skip the second one. My thoughts are that waiting for swap doc shells should be enough information. That should be enough time for the current URI to be updated. View source window, but it's not. About blank is on the left, and about blank is the browser's current URI spec. Now, what happens if we await? Let's just see if, like, does it ever resolve? Maybe our reference to the browser, like, maybe we need to. Don't. Current URI is now. End swap doc shells should be long enough, so why is the URL not updated? We wait 5 seconds. Is that long enough? Current URI is now. So after waiting a number of seconds, then it. Hang on. Dump, waiting 5 seconds. When? Then we close the window. When promise, we wait for the new source window. And what that does, we wait for a DOM window. Wait for end swap doc shells to fire. Why isn't that long enough for the URI? Like, this is gonna be ridiculous, but if this makes it pass, I'm gonna be very upset. I don't want to have to wait 5 seconds ridiculously. Waiting for end swap doc shells should have been long enough. Right, that makes it pass. Wait for event. What happens if we wait for event on the window, tab close? Instead of a swap doc shell. Would that be long enough? That's the close of the tab after the swap is completed. No, it's not long enough. Swap browser. Swap listeners. Current URI. Swap browsers. Web program. When does the swap browser occur? Here in swap doc shells, we should have swapped them. We rewired them. detail off of the event, wait for event, returns the event, resolves with the event or object. So we're gonna wait for the event, and then we're gonna say assert equal event.detail is browser, right? Details being the other browser. So that actually shouldn't be the case. But let's take a look at what the expected URL of the other browser is. Other browser. What? It's a Zool frame element. Oh, sorry. Current URI.spec. That's what we wanted. Fail because the event detail current URI is, I'm guessing, is null. Event detail. The tab is closed. At that point. Oh, part of the problem is that the tab, this is also maybe going to load a thing. It's maybe going to load this thing. So we've got like multiple things going on here where we're loading a thing and we're tearing it out. And that's part of the problem, is that we don't really have anything in place to handle that case where we've loaded something and then we're loading something as we're tearing it out. I think that's the problem. So what are we going to do about that? Well, instead of asserting here, we could wait for, we could say if browser.currentURI.spec is not equal to expected URL, await browser test utils, browser loaded, expected URL. Could we do that? That might So we handle the one case where if it's already there, then we just leave it. Oh, browser loaded should be a Boolean. Second argument must be a Boolean. Browser loaded. Browser loaded. Includes subframes. Okay, I like that. Let's run the whole set now. The pair of them. And then we'll run verify, and then we'll step back and take a look at and see what we think. So that passes. I'll run it not in headless. If verify passes, I think I'm going to stop the stream there. And then after the stream, what I'm planning on doing is cleaning up the patch and writing up a comment in the bug about what I found, or in the Fabricator revision of what I found. And then I might just land his patch. I'll push it to try first, and then I'll land it. So just to summarize what the problem was, for the folks who might be wondering, we have a lot of, like, whenever we open up one of these view source things into a new window, the way we do it is we start loading it as a new tab instead, but then as soon as we create that tab, even before that tab is finished loading with the view source content in it, we tear it out to a new window. And our testing code that waits for new window types isn't prepared to deal with that case where, you know, a swap doc shell is about to occur, which is what happens when you tear something out, and that browser that we're about to swap out may or may not be in the middle of a loading state. So I might put that as a comment as well in this utility function that we just wrote, because I think that will help clear up why we're doing it that way. Where are we at here? I think we're in the final stages of a verify. And if this passes, well, then it's a victory, and we got to a satisfying conclusion. And I'll play a happy sound. I'll play my favorite, the air horn. That's my favorite. So brace yourselves. For the folks who don't like loud noises, maybe turn down your speakers, put your headphones back a little bit, because I'm about to jam that air horn, assuming that we pass our verify here. Which run is this of the verify? I can't tell. I can't tell. There's too much text. I think this is like 4 of 10. I can't tell where we are in the verify. Oh man, that was close. I wasn't sure we were going to understand what was going on. But if you rewind the video, when this is posted to Twitch or YouTube or AirMozilla, there is a moment during this video. Yay, we passed the verify. Where is it? Very happy about that. There's a moment, if you rewind the video, probably in like the last quarter, where all of a sudden I go like, "Whoa, I know what's going on." That is what I live for. It's like reaching nirvana. And I'm so happy that we got there. We actually got to something like a successful conclusion. So let's, yeah, I want to finish the stream, but I'm just going to clean up some of these comments. Don't need, or these dump oh, I didn't, how do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? I can't just straight up revert stuff because I never committed some of his patches anyways. So I'll just have to manually, I should have committed as patch first locally, but I didn't. Browser test utils can all be reverted, and content utils. Actually, everything under testing probably. Tab browser doesn't need that thing anymore. And then remote web progress. Don't need that. Don't need this. There's probably a faster way of doing this. Did you get to the real cause, or you just fixed based only on a hunch? I did get to the real cause. I know what the problem is. I can explain the problem. If someone were to ask, I could explain it in a way that I think is reasonable. So I do think I got to the real cause. And the race was between loading and tearing. Hey, before we go, I'm just going to do one last thing, and that's just running the whole suite. Not with verify, but the whole view source suite. Huzzah! All passed. Great. Well, thank you so much for watching episode 169 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. Let me know what you thought. Rate the episode. There's a link right here in the agenda. Click on the link. Smash that rating link, and let me know what you thought. I want to hear what things I can do to make the stream better. But we did it. We figured out the problem with this patch, and I'll put a comment if you want to follow along and read what I write. Let me put a link to the I actually already have a link here. This is a link to the review. Well, no, it's a link to the bug. Here's a link to the review, Fabricator review page. If you want to follow along, refresh the agenda and then follow along there. I'll have a comment probably posted this afternoon. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching episode 169 of The Joy of Coding. We did it! Hey, that's 2 in a row. Last week we fixed a thing too, kind of. And this week we fixed a thing too, kind of. So, yay! Let's keep up the good work, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Hold on a second. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.